The coastal town loomed in the distance, its silhouette barely visible through the dense fog that clung to the night. I had come seeking solitude, an escape from the city's chaos. But the fog had transformed the quaint town into an eerie maze of shadows and obscured pathways. The narrow, winding road snaked through the hills, disappearing into the thick mist. I navigated cautiously, my car's headlights cutting feeble beams through the fog. The night was shrouded in an unsettling stillness, punctuated only by the muffled crash of distant waves. As I rounded a bend, the fog thickened, swallowing the road ahead. The windshield became a canvas for the ghostly dance of mist, and visibility plummeted to mere feet. Anxiety crept in, the claustrophobia of the fog closing in around me. I considered turning back, but pressed on, my destination just beyond the fog's embrace. The air turned colder, and a sense of isolation settled in. The coastal town had disappeared, and I felt adrift in a spectral realm. I was about to succumb to the unnerving solitude when a figure materialized in the mist. A woman emerged from the fog, her form taking shape like a spectre. She stumbled onto the road, disheveled and breathless. Panic etched across her face as she frantically waved for help. Instinctively, I braked, the surreal encounter unfolding in the opaque curtain of mist. She rushed towards my car, desperation in her eyes. Without hesitation, I unlocked the doors, allowing her to scramble into the passenger seat. Her trembling hands clutched the door handle, and she gasped out a plea for swift escape. "Drive, please, just drive," she urged, her voice strained with fear. I complied, accelerating cautiously into the fog-shrouded unknown. The woman, now beside me, cast furtive glances over her shoulder as if expecting pursuers. My curiosity mingled with a growing sense of unease. Between anxious breaths, she recounted a harrowing tale. A group of criminals had ambushed her and her friends just beyond the fog-covered stretch of road. Their cars were robbed, possessions plundered, and chaos ensued. In the ensuing madness, she managed to break free, fleeing into the foggy abyss. As she spoke, a sense of impending danger clung to the air. The fog, once a mere atmospheric phenomenon, now concealed an imminent threat. I listened intently, navigating through the labyrinthine mist while casting wary glances at the obscured surroundings. The woman, now calmer, relayed her ordeal. The criminals lay in wait for unsuspecting victims, exploiting the treacherous conditions to execute their nefarious schemes. My pulse quickened. The road ahead, veiled in fog, concealed the lurking danger that had befallen her friends. We drove in tense silence, the only sounds the hum of the engine and the woman's occasional gasps. Every twist and turn brought us deeper into the fog, further entwined in the uncertainty of our surroundings. Suddenly, she gripped my arm, her eyes widening in terror. Ahead, shadowy figures materialized through the mist, the criminals, emerging like specters from the fog. Panic seized me as I swerved, narrowly avoiding their trap. The criminals, angered by our evasion, gave chase. The woman pleaded for speed, her eyes darting between the rearview mirror and the road ahead. I navigated through the fog, each turn a gamble, uncertainty veiling the escape route. As the pursuit intensified, the fog seemed to conspire with our pursuers. The road twisted and turned in disorienting patterns, creating a disconcerting labyrinth. My heart pounded, the rhythmic beat echoing the urgency of our escape. Through the labyrinthine fog, the woman directed me towards an obscure turnoff, a hidden path known only to locals. We veered off the main road, the car's headlights illuminating an alternative route away from the criminals' pursuit. The labyrinth of fog enveloped us, concealing our escape and thwarting the criminals' relentless advance. The woman guided me through the hidden path, a network of winding roads that crisscrossed the landscape. In the distance, the coastal town re-emerged from the fog, a beacon of refuge. As we approached the town, the fog began to dissipate, unveiling the familiar surroundings. Relief washed over us, the threat of the criminals diminishing with each passing mile. The woman, now composed, expressed gratitude for the escape, from the clutches of the fog-bound criminals. We reached the town's safety, and the ordeal in the foggy abyss began to fade like a haunting dream. The woman, reunited with the warmth of the coastal town, thanked me before disappearing into the night. The fog, once an atmospheric anomaly, had transformed into a realm of peril and escape, an opaque curtain that concealed the thin line between serenity and the lurking unknown. As I drove through the now clear night, the coastal town faded in the rearview mirror, a haven from the fog-shrouded dangers that lurked beyond. The foggy labyrinth, with its hidden paths and obscured threats, became a chilling memory, a reminder that sometimes the most perilous threats are veiled in the ordinary and the unseen. My nights at the lighthouse were usually serene, marked only by the rhythmic sweep of the beacon across the vast expanse of the ocean. The waves below murmured a constant lullaby, and the distant glow of passing ships offered fleeting moments of interest in an otherwise monotonous routine. But one foggy night would etch a disturbing tale into the fabric of my solitude, shattering the calm that had become my nightly companion. The thick fog had rolled in like a spectral curtain, cloaking everything in a hazy obscurity. The usual beams of the lighthouse struggled against the density, casting feeble rays that dissipated into the mist. The ships passing by became mere shadows, their distant sounds muffled by the fog's embrace. As I peered into the dense curtain of white, a peculiar sight emerged: a ship, its rusted frame emitting an eerie green light that cut through the fog. My initial dismissal gave way to a lingering unease. The ship sailed in an odd silence, the creaks of its aging hull muted by the mist. I focused on my duties, choosing to ignore the oddity and assuming it to be a product of my tired mind. The night trudged on, the relentless fog clinging to the lighthouse like a ghostly presence. Hours passed, and I cast another glance at the sea below. To my disquiet, the green-lit ship remained. It had halted just beyond the reach of the lighthouse's glow, an ominous silhouette against the murk. The ship's lights were extinguished, as if someone aboard had realized the proximity to the vigilant gaze of the lighthouse and opted for stealth. My instincts screamed at me, a primal unease that gnawed at the edges of my consciousness. The fog seemed to thicken, enhancing the isolation of the lighthouse. I strained to hear any sounds, but the night had fallen into an oppressive silence. Then, a sharp crack shattered the stillness. It echoed through the lighthouse, the sound resonating like a gunshot in the night. My heart raced as I fumbled for the small handgun had brought for the rare possibility of pirates or intruders. I moved cautiously, my steps hesitant on the metal grating of the lighthouse platform. The ominous fog distorted my surroundings, every shadow a potential threat. Another sound, a sinister scrape, reached my ears. Panic welled up within me, but I forced myself to confront the threat. The first broken window I encountered sent a chill down my spine. Shards of glass lay scattered, and a sense of violation gripped me. I scanned the surroundings, the fog limiting my vision to mere feet ahead, and then I saw it, a jagged piece of rusted metal, lodged into the window frame. My mind raced, trying to comprehend the implications. The ship, the green light, the broken window. Fog played tricks on my senses, transforming the lighthouse into a stage for an inscrutable menace. I clutched the gun tighter, my senses on high alert. The fog had become an ally to the intruder, concealing their presence and muddling my attempts to uncover the threat. Every creak, every echo seemed magnified in the oppressive silence. As the first light of dawn began to pierce the lingering fog, I cautiously surveyed the surroundings. The ship, a spectral presence just hours ago, had vanished. The broken window and the piece of metal remained as tangible proof of the night's disturbance. The authorities found nothing amiss when I reported the incident. No shipwreck, no debris, no intruders, just a lighthouse keeper, haunted by the remnants of a fog-shrouded threat. I tried to convince myself it was a figment of my imagination, a product of the isolation and the disorienting fog. Yet, the unease lingered, a shadow that clung to the lighthouse like a malevolent spirit. Subsequent nights were haunted by a pervasive sense of vulnerability. The fog, once a tranquil companion, now concealed the unknown, leaving me to wonder if the rusted ship and its green glow were merely a prelude to a threat that lurked just beyond the edge of visibility. The lighthouse, once a beacon of guidance, now stood as a silent witness to a disturbing tale, veiled in the secrets of the fog. The dawn of my hunting trip greeted me with an eerie fog. The air was thick with moisture, and the surrounding woods seemed to vanish into an impenetrable mist. Excitement mingled with a touch of unease as I stepped out of the cabin, eager for a day of hunting in the secluded wilderness. My cabin, a rustic refuge nestled deep within the forest, stood as the solitary outpost in this foggy realm. The surrounding trees loomed like silent sentinels, their forms obscured by the thick haze. With my gear in tow, I ventured into the ethereal landscape, the crunch of leaves beneath my boots the only sound to break the pervasive silence. As the morning wore on, I found a suitable vantage point and settled in for a patient wait. The fog wrapped around me like a shroud, my visibility limited to a mere few yards. The forest had transformed into a mysterious, foreboding realm, where every sound and rustle seemed amplified. Then, as the silence pressed upon me, a sudden knock echoed through the cabin. Startled, I snapped to attention, my heart pounding in my chest. I approached the door cautiously, a knot of tension tightening in my gut. Another knock reverberated, and I peered through the peephole, expecting to see a fellow hunter, or maybe a lost hiker seeking shelter. To my confusion, there was nothing. No one stood outside the cabin. My gaze scanned the fog, searching for any signs of movement, but the world beyond the door remained a silent, misty void. I dismissed it as a figment of my imagination, perhaps the creaking of the old cabin settling under the fog's weight. As I returned to my seat, an unsettling feeling lingered. The fog outside, now an oppressive curtain, seemed to press against the cabin walls. I turned my attention to the window, hoping to catch a glimpse of movement, anything that would dispel the unease. And then I felt a presence, a tingling on the back of my neck, a sensation that someone or something was watching. Slowly, I turned around. Through the window, the fog revealed a tall figure standing on two legs, obscured by the mist, yet undeniably present. My breath caught in my throat. The figure, bizarrely human in form, stood far taller than any person I'd ever encountered. Its silhouette suggested an imposing girth, a strange fusion of bulk and height. My eyes strained to discern details through the fog, but it waved at me with a slow, deliberate motion. Fear gripped me, an icy claw sinking into my chest. Questions churned in my mind. Was this a fellow hunter playing a prank? Or had I stumbled upon something more sinister in these fog-laden woods? The figure's waving persisted, a gesture that seemed almost friendly, if not for the disconcerting circumstances. Uncertain and unnerved, I debated whether to confront the mysterious visitor. Yet, every fiber of my being screamed to stay inside, to let the fog swallow this enigma whole. The seconds stretched, the figure's movements becoming more deliberate, as if testing my resolve. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, the figure retreated into the mist, leaving me with a lingering sense of dread. The fog clung to the cabin as silent witness to the bizarre encounter, and the woods beyond remained a cryptic expanse. Hours passed, and the fog lifted, unveiling the forest in a newfound clarity. With trepidation, I emerged from the cabin, scanning the surroundings for any trace of the enigmatic figure. The woods, however, revealed no secrets, only the lingering echoes of the fog's embrace. As I prepared to leave, a sobering revelation struck me. The footprints scattered around the cabin were not those of the mysterious figure. Instead, they belonged to bears, large, formidable creatures that roamed the wilderness. My pulse quickened as I recalled the figure's furry, towering presence, its vague resemblance to a bear now hauntingly clear. Dread coursed through me, and a cold realization settled in my bones. Bears, known for their intelligence, were capable of mimicking human gestures to lure unsuspecting prey. The fog had masked their approach, and I had unknowingly become the hunted. Chilled to the core, I retraced my steps through the foggy woods, each rustle of leaves echoing with an ominous undertone. The line between predator and prey had blurred, and the once serene hunting trip had transformed into a chilling encounter with the wild. The fog, which had concealed both danger and mystery, now dispersed, revealing the secrets hidden within its folds. As I emerged from the wooded realm, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The enigma of the fog lingered, a silent stalker in the woods, where reality and fear had intertwined in a dance of shadows and uncertainty.